Hi everyone, welcome to another of my video, and today we'll be discussing a very important question. Open source AI gave us Hugging Face, OpenCV, TensorFlow and many others. But the very important question is, if AI is open source, are we truly driving innovation or are we opening a box of ethical questions? In this video, I will explain what open source AI is, why ethical open source AI matters and how we can build open and responsible models. By the end of this video, you will have a playbook for building and shortlisting open models that people can actually trust. Now, let's define open source AI. The Open Source Initiative published a clear and practical definition. Open source AI grants four freedoms to use, study, modify, and share. So, you can use the AI system for any purpose without having to ask for permission. That's one. Study how the system works and understand how its results were created. Modify the system for any purpose, including to change its output, and share the AI system for others to use, with or without modifications for any purpose. So summarily, right, open source AI is an AI system in which code can be shared, studied, modified, and distributed for commercial use at no cost. So what does this mean? It means that if you have an AI system, an AI model that is free, or which in which its source code is free, it can be used, can be shared and modified and distributed for commercial use at low cost, then that model or that AI algorithm or whatever is open sourced. Open source AI is also distributed under free and open source software licenses like Apache, MIT, and the GNU. To differentiate between open source AI and closed source AI, we have something here. An open source AI code is freely available and can be largely customized depending on what features you require. Closed source AI keeps its source code private and has vendor provided features. So, summarily, right, what does this mean yet again? It means that your open source AI code is freely available. That is, its source code, its features, every single thing that concerns that particular AI model is free and available to use and can be shared and modified however, right? But closed source AI or proprietary AI, it keeps its source code private and has vendor provided features. It's not to be shared, not to be modified, not to be distributed in any way or form.
So, we are going to break down this video into three parts. First, we would highlight the benefits, core characteristics, and real use cases. Second, highlighting the ethical risks and challenges. And finally, some tools and frameworks. So, let's get into the benefits of open source AI. Openness gives us scrutiny. When code, model weight, data provenance, and evaluation scripts are public, more eyes can find bias, security holes, and errors. That matters because AI decisions affect jobs, loans, and health. Transparency builds trust. It also speeds innovation. Community contributions help iterate models quickly. So let's move on to the core characteristics of open source AI. 4 things to expect from responsible open projects. First, transparency. When models and algorithms are visible, bugs get found faster and biases can be flagged by people who represent different communities. That scrutiny improves reliability and builds public trust. Second, collaboration. A global developer community brings diverse perspectives. A model improved by many eyes is less likely to reflect only one narrow view. Accessibility. Lower barriers mean more people can build, test, and adapt AI for local problems, increasing its capacity. And finally, we have innovation. Shared models and tools mean ideas iterate faster. Now, let's move on to some real use cases of open AI models. Like we have here, we have the Mooneye, Medical Open Network for Artificial Intelligence. We have Hugging Face as well. We also have Masakene, which is for local languages. I think you should definitely check them out as well. And we have Stability.ai. And finally, we have the Open Mind, building the public network of non-public information. Okay, let's move on to another very important part of this video, the ethical implications and risks when it comes to open source AI models. Open source AI promotes transparency and collaboration, but also we need to highlight the need for uniform ethical standards and safeguards against misuse. So here are some examples. Safety and misuse. Open models can be repurposed for spam, deception, or code that exploits vulnerabilities. Openness lowers friction for both beneficial and malicious use. Privacy. Public datasets can include sensitive material. Open releases have on occasion exposed personal images or training examples that should not have been shared. Openness must be paired with deliberate safeguards. We also have governance gap. Laws and industry standards are catching up, but often trail technology. Open projects can find themselves outside clear regulatory frameworks, which raises questions about liability and oversight. Sustainability and funding. Open source projects usually rely on contributors and external funding. Finding sustainable funding and support structure is critical for this project's long-term viability. Now, finally, we will look at the tools, frameworks, and governance that actually work for open source AI models. But how do we make open source AI ethical in practice? If you want to build or publish open models ethically, follow these three practical pillars: document, license, and test. First is documentation. Publish a clear model card and data sheet describing intended use, limitations, training procedures, evaluation results, and known failure modes. Hugging Face and many community projects use model cards for this reason. Responsible licensing. Use a license that allows for inspection and reuse, while also setting boundaries on harmful applications. OpenRail and similar responsible AI licenses are examples to study. Privacy engineering. Remove or filter sensitive data from training sets. Use synthetic data where appropriate. Provide clear contact points for data removal requests as well. Adopt community governance and incident practices. Use community governance. Set up contributor codes of conduct, steering councils, and public decision logs. Have a code of conduct and a security incident response plan. So when a vulnerability is found, communicate clearly and quickly. And finally, we have policy awareness and alignment. Track applicable laws and frameworks like the EU AI Act and international standards. Policies will shape obligations around transparency, risk assessment, and documentation. So, align your practices to those requirements early on.
And finally, here is a quick checklist to use or release an open model. First, is there a model card and data sheet? Are safety and bias tests published and reproducible? Is the license clear and responsible? Are sensitive data being identified and removed? Are safe defaults, rate limits, and usage examples included? Is governance public and inclusive? And finally, is there a planned incident response and updates? So this checklist would help you to judge whether to release or to use an open model. Summarily, open source AI can be the bedrock of trustworthy tools, but openness alone is not enough. If you care about ethics, help document, demand model cards, and push for governance, make the safe part the default part. So, if you enjoyed this video, please let me know. If you have any more questions or comments, please drop them in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.